with comedian Dave Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So they've cut the hours down at work again. It was finishing at 4:30, now it's finishing at 3:30, which basically makes it like a normal day's work. I got home at fucking 4 o'clock today, but getting home at 4 o'clock isn't exciting for me because now when I get home, I have to help my wife out, who's been struggling, juggling everything for the last however many months. Now I can't just cruise when I get home. I have to do shit. Doing shit sucks. I would rather be at work than doing shit. So it's not actually ideal because I really just wanted to fucking bang out some hours until Christmas. Like, just go hard. And now all the fucking overtime has been cut. I think we're doing half an hour of overtime per day instead of, how much was it? Almost 4 hours of overtime. Yeah, it was 4 hours of overtime. So, yeah, I'm not overly excited about it, but also it gives me an opportunity to do nothing more, but maybe be a little bit less tired. I can do the podcast a little bit earlier. And I'm still in my cruisy position at the other side as well. So basically today I turned up, did nothing for 4 hours, made my way to the other job site, which technically should take me like laws of gravity and Newton's laws of motion. Like, it should take me 11 minutes to get over there. I can break those laws. I can make it 40 minutes. It's almost like gravity's twice as strong as it is. I'm moving at Jupiter gravity. So I mosey on, and that's what I call it. I mosey on over to the other side. So morning, absolutely nothing. I via a coffee, mosey on over to the other side. By the time I get down to the actual site, because it's a little bit of a walk and then you got to go down into the tunnel and you got to walk to the fucking shed where you got to sign everything on. By the time I get there, it's like 11:25, and then I speak to the boss out there, the supervisor, for like 15-20, and then by the time that's all wrapped up, it's lunchtime. And we're back up into the sheds. Lunch from 12 till 1. Plus, like, there's a little bit of a walk down there. So you get them back into work at about 1:30. And then for a 3:30 finish, you're really starting to wrap things up at about 2:15. 3 o'clock if any of the boys from work are listening. But yeah, you're winding it up. So we're working for an hour and a half after lunch. An hour 45. Let's say an hour 45. No, actually, it's not an hour 45. It's an hour 45 from 1 o'clock to when we start winding things up. And by the time we get back down into the station box and have a chat and get to our positions, it's like an hour and 20. It was like an hour. I did an hour and 20. Technically, I did an hour and 20 work today. If you... if you really timed, if you put a stopwatch on the time I actually worked from like the start of when I was doing something to the end, I probably did about 11 minutes, which is the same amount of time it should take me from getting to one job site to the other. But this isn't going to last. I need to do an induction for a different fucking job site, and that's meant to be hell on earth, and they're doing 12 hours out there. So anyway, you just got to fucking take it while it lasts, eh? So I'm not unhappy, I'm not happy, I'm just taking it as it is. And last night, fully booked everything. So I'm going to India from the 21st of December until the 25th of January. And on the way back, I'm stopping in Bali for 2 nights, visiting my mate Cal over there in Bali. So that will be pretty sweet. Then come straight back to Sydney from there, and then bounce straight from Sydney to Perth for the festival. It's going to be a hectic month, but that's what I'm made for. I'm made for just foot to the floor work. Anyway, it's Monday. It felt like a Monday today, but you know what that means? It's Ask Boyle time. So if you have a question you would like answered by one of the greatest minds and greatest workers of this or any generation, comedian, philosopher, crane operator, waterproofer, Le Boyle, then head to my website, boylecomedy.com. There's a section there for Ask Boyle. Skip that actually because I have a few questions. What I need is stories, or what I need are stories. Fucked up Friday stories. It's just the tab across. Don't be a lazy cunt. Send in your stories. I need the stories. You can send in Ask Boyles as well. It's a question. I enjoy the questions, to be fair. But get a story in if you've got a story. And while you're there, why don't you fucking join up to the Patreon? There's been a dip in the Patreon. I don't know whether it's because I haven't released anything on the Patreon in about fucking 6 weeks. I had a good run there. As soon as I quit this job, I'm going back to it. Don't worry. But the dip could also be because fucking Apple changed the conditions of their fucking thing and you can opt out of the new conditions or whatever. So I think cunts are like, yeah, fuck this. Anyway, join the Patreon. There's heaps of shit already on it. And once I get a spare minute, maybe if I can get a good run of finishing at 3:30, I'll do the Patreon. Get right back on top of it. But for now, let's get to this week's Ask Boyle. So this week's Ask Boyle was sent in by my man fucking out there in the US of fucking A. Fucking A. Davo Chopsticks. Chopsticks. Let's just leave it there. Anyway, here it is. What country would you live in if you could choose any other country besides Australia and the USA? I stipulate USA because we all know that the USA is by far the greatest country on earth, and it ain't even close. Well, fish and chips, you have come to the right place. Now, let's just put a caveat on the USA being the greatest country on earth. The reason the US is perhaps the greatest country on earth is basically because of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, which you are in the process of flushing down the fucking toilet. As soon as the Constitution and the Bill of Rights have been more or less destroyed, then the USA just becomes any other shithole country. And I don't know if you've looked around at the USA recently. There's some problems. But the great thing about the USA is you do seem to take freedom of speech pretty seriously. That's pretty much it. The freedom of speech, that's basically it. I don't think any other country has it as baked into their national psyche as the US. Trust me, the USA is not a great country because of fucking McDonald's and Wendy's and fat people and Disneyland. Fat people are eating Wendy's at Disneyland. No one's looking at America going, fucking, that's great. And no healthcare and homeless people. Homeless people with guns eating Wendy's. Fat homeless people with guns eating Wendy's. That's not... That's not what made America great. Actually, you just fucking elected a fat guy with a gun eating Wendy's or McDonald's. He loves McDonald's. What a great representative. Anyway, I do love the USA, and every time I go there, I'm like, this is really a great country. The people there are great. I love Americans in America. The ones that leave can suck my dick. You've got to keep Americans in America. Just like you got to keep bogans in Australia. They shouldn't leave. Anyway, as you know, I've spent the last few years looking for places to live other than Australia. Like, seriously looking for places to live. The US is obviously on that list. So where have I been? Ireland, England. I just don't think we could do it there. The weather sucks. And also the cost of renting in England and Ireland is insane for what you get. Plus, we've got 2 kids, so like you're not going to be in London. You're going to be somewhere else. To be fair, though, I didn't get to see enough of outside of Dublin and London, so I'm basing it just off the main cities. And I can't do those places. Plus, the wages there suck. The comedy, you could probably earn a living, I suppose. London, you could, but you're still grinding it out. I don't know about Ireland. Ireland, you probably could as well. So those 2 were off. Then I looked at Mexico. Honestly, we were looking at Mexico City, but Mexico City's fucking expensive. It's pretty much Australian prices, and you just don't know what you're going to do there. What are you going to fucking do there? Can you work? I don't even know if you can work. And then we went to El Salvador, which was like, I was like, we should move to El Salvador. But the problem with El Salvador is the infrastructure. It's just not there yet. It's a developing country because they had so many years of the gangs running the show and murderers and fucking being the murder capital of the world that during those years, there was no incentive to start businesses because the gangsters were just going to steal your profits and extort you. So they haven't really built anything up. It's going to take about another 5 years or 10 years for that place to develop. Maybe it'll do it faster because of Bitcoin, but I don't know. And then we even went to Guatemala. We were thinking, yeah, maybe we'll do a little country where we don't have to work and we'll just live off some savings or whatever. And Guatemala is kind of nice, but it seems very dangerous. It seems outside these little pockets, you're in a bit of trouble, especially Guatemala City. I'm not too sure. Around that lake we stayed at, it's nice and it was safe, but like after a while, you're just looking at a fucking lake and there's nothing else to do. Then I bounced over to Peru. I could spend 2 years traveling. You could spend 2 years with your kids traveling throughout South America. Just park up somewhere for 3-4 months. But the thing is, you got to do schooling, so you got to homeschool. Peru is definitely on the agenda. It's got so much to offer. It's so diverse. Like you could be in the Amazon or you could be in the mountains. You could be on the beach in Lima. Like there's a lot going on. You could be doing cocaine, powdery cocaine, and then next day clearing your soul with ayahuasca. Peru's got some advantages, but I've heard it's got a little bit dangerous, and also the schooling there, the international schools are fucking expensive. So Peru is like a question mark, maybe type thing, but nothing like we have to go there. And one of the places that me and my wife really would love to live for like a couple of years is Spain. So I'd probably go US then Spain if we had our choice. Spain, I fucking love Spain. You can do everything there. It's got culture, the food's great, the weather's great, the people are cool. I think they're a little bit racist, but who cares? I'm white. My whole family's brown, so that they have to deal with it. But my son would play soccer, go to school there, learn Spanish. We'll learn Spanish. Like that's one of the places I would fucking love to live. But it's just like, what do you do there? How do you get there? What kind of jobs are there? I know there's a little comedy scene there. So that's on the agenda. Look, I would love to live in India as well, but it's just the fucking pollution. It's just that. Also, opportunities because my son loves sport as well. India's not the greatest for sport. So India, I love India, so I would love to live there, but it has its problems. You know, after all these countries I've been to and we've been talking about, like Australia in the end, like as a whole package, especially if you've got a couple of kids, even though like the prices are getting crazy here and your opportunities are dying off and you basically can't fucking own a home anymore. Like you're virtually, unless you want to get yourself into 30 years of like complete debt slave, then you really can't own a home, and the rents have just been cranking up every single year. It's still the fucking best place as a package. Healthcare's free. Wages are exceptional. You've got everything. You're like near the beach. It's sunny. It's a outdoorsy, active culture. There's good schools, good public schools. It's just easy. Like, it's easy if you've got a family. The other place that really was the only one that was comparable to Australia was Canada. And I mean, like, it's a whole different ball game if it's just me and my wife or just me or whatever. If I was like a single male, where I'd want to live. But once you got 2 kids and shit, you're like, all right, the option's narrow. Canada was one, and we were even speaking about it the other day. We were like, could we do Canada? Like, I really liked Canada. I could fucking go out to the snowfields and I don't know. That's as far as I thought. I could go out to the snowfields. You can do comedy there. Yeah, I fucking loved Canada, but it would just be convincing my wife to move somewhere that's so fucking cold. She's from India, you gotta remember. She didn't even like Melbourne, it was so cold. Canada's the next level. But yeah, Canada it's virtually the cold version of Australia, but I would prefer to be in North America than Australia, because at least in North America you've got access. In Australia, you're literally 8 hours flight from anywhere, except New Zealand, but who gives a fuck about New Zealand? So Canada would be a place. I reckon if you're excluding USA, I would say Spain. I'd love to live a year in Spain or 2. 2 years in Spain, especially because you have fucking access to the rest of Europe as well. Bitcoin would have to go up to like maybe 250,000 USD, and then it would be possible just to go to Spain and just live there for a year or so without working or something. I don't know. We'll work that out. Let's just hope Bitcoin keeps going up. That's the only thing. Anyway, Spain it is, if you take away Australia and USA, with Canada very close behind, and Canada more of a possibility than Spain actually. And then the rest of the countries, I could do Peru. I was even looking at Serbia. I was like, we could live in Serbia for a little while. The rent's cheap. You wouldn't have to work. You can do shit there. You've got Europe. I was even looking at Poland as well. But anyway, thank you, Davo, for the question. Get in your fucked up Friday stories. That'll do for tonight, and I'll see you the fuck later.